The digital mirror, how social media captures our lives. In the 21st century, it's almost impossible to separate our memories from our devices. One moment, we're living it. The next, we're posting it online, recording it, archiving it. Birthdays, vacations, lazy afternoons with friends, even quiet walks in the park. Every experience has the potential to become a story for an audience we might not even know personally. Social media acts as a digital mirror, reflecting parts of our lives back at us. But while it allows us to preserve certain moments, it also changes the very fabric of how we remember. When we know a moment will be photographed or recorded, our brains behave differently. Studies from cognitive psychologists show that when people anticipate taking a picture of something, their brain shifts into external storage mode. Instead of deeply encoding the memory internally, the brain offloads responsibility onto the device. The result? We actually remember less about the moment itself, its smells, sounds, feelings, because part of us is depending on the photograph to do the remembering for us. This is called the photo-taking impairment effect. It's subtle, but powerful. When we record a concert, for instance, we're often less emotionally present in the music. When we snap pictures of our meal, we can detach slightly from the taste, the ambience, the conversation at the table. But it's not just about memory loss, it's about how social media frames what we believe is worth remembering. Moments that are Instagram-worthy tend to be those that appear exciting, beautiful, or unusual. Meanwhile, quiet moments, like a simple laugh with a friend or a long, thoughtful conversation, may not be posted at all. Over time, these choices subtly teach our brains which experiences matter and which are forgettable. Think about it. Our future selves might look back at old social media posts and see a highlight reel, a glamorous edit of our lives. But the rich, complex, messy, human experience behind those photos, the waiting in line, the missed trains, the small acts of kindness, the unscheduled laughter, could fade away, undocumented and unremembered. Technology also introduces another curious phenomenon: memory flattening. Before social media, memories were layered with complexity, different emotions, sights, smells, conversations. Today, a moment can be compressed into a single photo with a caption, a neat box labelled "Happy Day" or "Best Night Ever." The layers get flattened. The messy, imperfect, real aspects of life are lost. And while social media archives seem permanent, they are vulnerable. Algorithms change. Platforms rise and fall. One day, Facebook could disappear. Instagram could be replaced. TikTok could become obsolete. What happens to our digitally stored memories then? What happens to the parts of ourselves that we entrusted to platforms we do not control? Moreover, reliance on digital memories can erode our ability to construct coherent narratives about our own lives. Psychologists suggest that autobiographical memory, the ability to tell the story of who we are, depends on remembering events, linking them emotionally, finding meaning in them. If our primary memories are filtered and curated for public consumption, it becomes harder to connect deeply with our private, authentic story. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. Social media can be a beautiful way to share, celebrate, and connect. Photos of a reunion, videos of a wedding, snapshots of a sunset on a special trip. These can genuinely enhance the richness of our memories. But awareness is key. If we live through the lens instead of with it, we risk becoming tourists in our own lives. Always one step removed. Always half witnessing instead of fully experiencing. There's a simple yet profound shift that can protect our memories. Being present first, document second. Imagine attending a concert where you leave your phone in your pocket, absorbing the music fully before snapping a photo during the encore. Imagine having dinner with friends where you take a mental snapshot first, the clink of glasses, the inside jokes, before pulling out the camera. Imagine reserving certain moments, a private walk on the beach, a hug from a parent, as sacred and undocumented, existing solely in the treasure chest of your own mind. Social media is a tool, incredibly powerful, but not neutral. It shapes what we remember, how we remember, and even what we forget. By understanding this influence, we can start using it consciously instead of passively. We can reclaim our ability to live moments deeply, to remember them vividly, and to let the story of our lives be written not just in pixels and posts, but in the deep, enduring pages of our own hearts. Because in the end, no algorithm, no platform, no archive will ever capture the full magic of a life truly lived.
The rise of memory distortion. When likes rewrite our stories. Memory is not a hard drive. It doesn't store events exactly as they happen. Instead, memory is more like a story we retell ourselves. And with each retelling, the story can subtly shift. In the digital era, especially with the rise of social media, these shifts have become faster, more powerful, and in some cases, almost invisible. Likes, comments, and shares aren't just digital reactions. They can reshape how we remember our own lives. Imagine this. You post a photo of a vacation. You remember the trip as fun, but also stressful. The missed flights, the lost luggage, the unexpected rainstorms. However, the post receives hundreds of likes and glowing comments. Looks amazing! Best trip ever! You look so happy! Over time, your brain, hungry for validation and consistency, begins to rewrite the memory. The stressful parts blur. The adventure becomes a highlight reel of smiles and sunsets. This is called memory distortion, and it's not just theoretical. It's been documented extensively by psychologists. When an experience is validated by social approval, we are more likely to remember it positively. When an experience is ignored or criticized, we may suppress it or reframe it negatively. Thus, social media acts as a filter, editing and color-correcting the memories that define who we are. This distortion isn't always harmful. Sometimes it can make tough memories easier to bear. For example, posting about a difficult experience and receiving support can genuinely help reframe it more positively, promoting emotional healing. But when distortion becomes too strong, we risk losing touch with reality. We risk building a life narrative that's polished for public view but hollow in private meaning. There's also the phenomenon of false memory formation. Studies show that when people repeatedly view photos or posts from events they only vaguely recall, they can start to believe they remember things that never actually happened. A smile captured in a photo might replace the real memory of feeling awkward or anxious. A group shot might convince someone they felt included when they actually felt lonely. In a world where photos are curated, captions are crafted, and moments are staged, it becomes difficult to tell which memories are organic and which have been manufactured through repetition and public perception. Social media platforms encourage us to focus on extremes, the happiest moments, the saddest tragedies, the biggest achievements. The quiet middle, the ordinary day, the subtle feeling often gets lost. And yet, life mostly happens in the middle. It's in the routine coffee runs, the casual strolls, the quiet evenings with loved ones. When our memories are skewed toward only the highs and lows, we start to experience emotional whiplash. Our internal life feels less steady, more dramatic, more black and white. This effect is amplified by comparison. Scrolling through polished, curated snapshots of others' lives can make us retroactively devalue our own experiences. A perfectly filtered vacation photo from a friend might make your own recent trip feel suddenly less special. A glamorous birthday party post might taint your memory of your quiet celebration with family. Social media doesn't just distort our own memories, it distorts how we perceive the value of those memories. Another subtle force at play is the gamification of memory. When we see our lives measured in likes, shares, and comments, it becomes easy to assign value based on digital applause. A birthday that received hundreds of likes becomes the best birthday. An anniversary post with few reactions feels less special, even if, in the moment, it was deeply meaningful. In this way, social media creates an external scorecard for experiences that were once evaluated internally, based on emotion, connection, and personal meaning. But perhaps the most concerning aspect of memory distortion is how it affects our sense of identity over time. When memories are reshaped by public feedback, when experiences are evaluated by likes instead of feelings, we risk losing track of who we truly are. We become curators of an idealized self, rather than authors of an authentic life story. So, what can we do? How can we protect our memories and our identities in a world that constantly tries to rewrite them? The first step is awareness. Recognizing that social media inherently distorts memory gives us the power to resist unconscious editing. The second step is intentionality. Before posting, ask yourself, am I sharing this because it's meaningful to me, or because I think it will perform well? Am I capturing this moment because I want to remember it, or because I want others to see it? The third step is nurturing private memory spaces. Keep a private journal. Create offline photo albums. Record voice memos just for yourself. These private records anchor your experiences in personal meaning, free from public influence. Finally, practice memory mindfulness. After an important experience, spend a few minutes simply recalling it, without looking at photos, without posting about it. Let your mind create its own version of the memory, rich in sensory details and emotion. Social media is not evil. It's a tool, one that can connect, inspire, and uplift. But like any tool, it must be used with care, especially when it comes to the fragile, precious landscape of human memory. Our memories are the foundation of our identity, our relationships, our sense of purpose. They deserve to be built not on likes, but on lived experience. Not on algorithms, but on authenticity. Because at the end of the day, the most valuable stories we carry are the ones that need no audience, only a heart to remember them.
Living for the feed. The shift from memory to performance. Not long ago, experiences were primarily lived for their own sake. A sunset was admired because it was beautiful. A conversation was enjoyed because it was meaningful. A trip was remembered because it changed us. But in today's hyper-connected world, many of our experiences are subtly, and sometimes explicitly, shaped by a different goal. How will this look online? This shift marks a profound change in human behavior. Instead of living primarily for personal
Growth or fulfillment, many now live for performance, curating their lives for the consumption of others.
Psychologists refer to this as the move from intrinsic to extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is when we do something because we genuinely enjoy it or find it meaningful. Extrinsic motivation is when we do something to gain external rewards, applause, recognition, validation. Social media thrives on extrinsic motivation. Posts are rewarded with likes, shares, and comments, tiny hits of dopamine that reinforce the behavior. Over time, we may start planning our actions with one eye on the moment and the other on how it will be received by our online audience. A simple coffee date becomes an opportunity for a perfectly staged latte photo. A morning run turns into a chance to post a sweaty selfie. Even acts of kindness can be performed with an awareness of how they might look to others. The result is a subtle but powerful shift. We begin to prioritize how experiences appear over how they feel. This isn't entirely new. Humans have always cared about social status and reputation. But never before have we had instant worldwide stages for even our most ordinary moments. What's dangerous about this trend is that it can erode authentic living. When the camera lens is always present, even if only in our minds, we may choose activities, relationships, and even identities based on how they will be perceived, rather than how they resonate with our true selves. Living for the feed can lead to a phenomenon called experiential dissonance, a gap between what
We present and what we feel.
you might post a smiling group photo from a party where you felt lonely. You might share an achievement that doesn't actually make you happy. Over time, constantly presenting a curated version of your life can create a dissonance that wears on your mental health. Studies show that individuals who heavily curate their online personas are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and feelings of emptiness. They may look successful, happy, and fulfilled to others, but internally, they struggle with a sense of disconnection. There's also the issue of attention fragmentation. When we live for performance, our attention is often split. Instead of being fully present in an experience, part of our mind is preoccupied with how we will document it. This can rob even the most joyful moments of their depth. Think about it. Have you ever been at a concert, a wedding, a breathtaking viewpoint, and instead of simply absorbing it, you found yourself fumbling with your phone, trying to capture the perfect shot? It's not that documenting experiences is bad. Photos, videos, and posts can enhance memory, preserve connections, and allow for beautiful storytelling. The problem arises when documentation replaces participation. When the pressure to perform becomes too strong, we risk becoming tourists in our own lives, always observing, rarely immersing. Moreover, living for the feed can shape not only what we share, but what we pursue. We may choose vacation destinations, hobbies, even relationships, based on how Instagrammable they are rather than how meaningful they feel. This leads to what some researchers call surface living, a life focused on appearances, where depth and nuance are sacrificed for aesthetics and approval. Of course, there's a flip side. Social media can also inspire genuine exploration. Seeing a friend's hiking adventure might motivate you to get outside. Discovering someone's creative project might reignite your own passions. The key distinction is between inspiration and performance pressure. Inspiration invites you to live more fully for yourself. Performance pressure demands that you live more perfectly for others. So how do we find balance? How do we live authentically in a world that constantly nudges us toward performance? Here are a few ideas. 1. Practice intentional sharing. Before posting, ask, am I sharing this because it brings me joy or because I want to impress? Choosing to share from a place of authenticity rather than expectation can help realign your relationship with social media. 2. Schedule device-free moments. Deliberately create spaces where you experience life without the impulse to document it. Take walks without your phone. Have conversations without photos. Attend events simply to be there, not to post about being there. 3. Focus on process over product. Engage in activities for the sheer love of doing them, not just for the final photo or post. Create art that no one else will see. Write stories you never plan to publish. Dance just because it feels good. 4. Curate your consumption. Follow people and pages that inspire you to live more deeply, not more superficially. Audit your feed regularly. If a creator consistently makes you feel inadequate or pressured, it's okay to unfollow. 5. Celebrate private wins. Not every achievement needs an audience. Learn to savor victories quietly, just for yourself. There's profound strength in finding fulfillment outside the spotlight. At its best, social media is a tool for connection, creativity, and community. At its worst, it can become a stage where we perform rather than live. Choosing to live for memory instead of performance doesn't mean disconnecting from the digital world completely. It means anchoring yourself in real experience, savoring moments deeply, feeling emotions fully, and building a life that feels meaningful from the inside out. Because in the end, the most valuable moments are often the ones no one else sees. The quiet laughter with a friend, the awe of a sunrise no one else witnesses. The small victories that never make it to the feed. Those are the moments that shape us, sustain us, and remind us who we really are.